Chapter 13. Theo sat in his dark office, lights off, shades pulled, just him and Judge brooding in the shadows and thinking about what could possibly happen next. In a couple of hours, his mother would return from court. He and his father would huddle behind a locked door and have one of those deadly, serious conversations that only troubled parents can have. Then he could be hauled in like a felon to face the music. He would be lectured. His mother would cry, suspended from school. How could he do such a thing? And so on. He was already tired and thinking about it. His father's initial response was somewhat comforting. There had been no drama, though his father generally was not one for theatrics. No yelling, but then Woodspoon was too laid back to yell. No threats or additional punishment, though Theo knew his parents always chatted before throwing the book at him. Until a few hours earlier, Theo had never dreamed he would get suspended from school. He had never thought about it, and he pondered the incident as he asked himself if it was worth it. He didn't believe in breaking the rules. He didn't enjoy disappointing Miss Gladwell and Mr. Mount. He suspected his parents would view it as an embarrassment, and this troubled him. And to be honest, there has been no pleasure in the violence. The frantic melee in which all four warriors seemed to be kicking, punching, scratching, and cursing each other, while some students in the crowd gawked in awe and others egged them on. On the other hand, there was some pride in the fact that he had gone to the aid of a friend who was being double-teamed. He had seen the admiration in the eyes of the spectators, his classmates and friends. Theo Boone, was being falsely accused and had gone to the attack to defend his good name and also protect friend. What a friend. Theo could not help but smile as he replayed the encounter. He marveled at the speed and fearlessness in which Woody had stepped forward and shut up Big Mouth Baxter. And Theo had a hunch Hoodie was not finished. Most likely, he would wait until he caught Baxter off campus and closed his other eye. Theo hoped his fighting days were over, but if another bout popped up, he wanted Woody nearby. There was a soft knock on the door. "Come in," Theo said. It was Elsa, red-eyed with tears on her cheeks. She flipped the light switch and reached down to hug him. "Theo, I'm so sorry," she said. It's okay," he said. This is the last thing he wanted. Big-time drama from those who loved him. He endured the hug. "I'm fine, it's nothing, okay?" he said, getting irritated. She stood and wiped her cheeks with a tissue. "I can't believe it. You're the nicest kid in the world." "Probably not. Maybe top 5. Look, Elsa, I'm okay." "Who attacked you?" "No one. It was just a stupid fight, okay? No big deal." She patted her cheeks with the tissue and began to realize that her sympathies were not being appreciated. "I still love you, Theo," she said, as if he had killed someone. "I'm fine, Elsa, just fine. Now would you please get out of here?" She left and Theo turned off the light. He and Judge returned to their brooding, which was actually quite enjoyable. 5 minutes passed and there was another knock at the door. "Yes," he said. The door opened slowly, and Dorothy, his father's real estate secretary, took a step inside. She flipped on the light and said, "Theo, are you okay?" "Yes," he said shortly. And for a long second, he was afraid she might lunge at him with an awkward hug, as if he needed her physical support. "I can't believe it. Why would the school suspend you?" "Because I got in a fight, plain and simple. Fighting is against the rules." "Yes, but Theo, surely it wasn't your fault." Theo shook his head and looked down the window. How many times would he be forced to explain what happened? Doesn't matter who's at fault. A fight is a fight. After an awkward pause, she said, "Well, if you need a friend, I'm just down the hall." "Thanks." "Oh, sure. I'm going to unload my troubles to a fully grown adult who's old enough to be my mother." She left and Theo turned off the light. His cell phone beeped, then text from April Finnemore. "Just heard. You okay?" "Yep, at office. No classes. Love it." Your parents, mom in court, dad's not too sore. Who'd you punch? Not sure. Lots of contact. Wounds, blood. Theo suddenly wished he had more to show for his efforts. Typically, he decided it was exaggerated a little. He wrote, busted up, blood. Awesome. When can I see? Later. You need to study now. He again returned to his brooding. 5 minutes later, there was a knock at the door. Before Theo could respond, Vince stepped in and turned on the light. With his arrival, the entire firm of Boone and Boone had now come to pay his respects. Except, of course, Marcella Boone, who would arrive soon enough. Vince had been her paralegal for many years. He did the grunt work for Miss Boone's divorce cases, and it was not always pleasant. He spent a lot of time out of the office, investigating clients and spying on their husbands and checking facts. Theo had known for many years that divorce clients often do not tell the truth to their lawyers, and Vince was called upon to verify those stories. He was about 35, single, a nice guy with a tough job. Elsa had entered the room crying. Dorothy seemed ready for a breakdown, but not Vince. He was smiling as he leaned against the door. Way to go, Theo. Did you pop him a good one? Theo smiled, finally. He realized he would tell his story 100 times, so why not dress it up a bit? Yep, he said. Attaboy. Look, Theo, you just learned a valuable lesson. There comes a time when you gotta stand your ground, regardless of the circumstances. I couldn't back down, Theo said. Suspensions are no big deal, as long as they don't become a habit. I got one in 6th grade. No kidding? True story. I grew up in Northchester, and we walked to school. There was a bully named Jerry Prater, a tough kid, and he was giving me a hard time. About once a week, he would catch me on the playground before school and knock me down, kick me some, and grab my lunchbox. He would take the good stuff, the chips, Twinkies, ham sandwiches, and leave me with apples and carrots. The next day, he would grab one of my buddies and go through the same routine. I guess Jerry was always hungry. Anyway, he was making our lives pretty miserable. I had an older brother in high school, and he explained to me that bullies are really cowards, and until you take a stand, things will get worse. My brother told me what to do. I hid my lunch in my backpack and filled my lunchbox with rocks. The next morning, I saw Jerry on the playground and headed toward him. He was about to punch me when I suddenly swung the lunchbox and hit him in the face. Hard. I mean, it was a nasty blow that cut a gash into his cheekbone. He screamed and fell down, and I whacked him a few more times in the head. There was a crowd by now, and the teacher came running over. They took him to the doctor and sewed him up. 18 stitches, 10 across his cheekbone. Everybody yelled at me, and my dad came to the school and picked me up. I explained the situation, and he had no problem with it. My mom cried, but that's what moms do. Anyway, Jerry left me alone after that. That's awesome. How long was the suspension? A week. I was a hero for a short time, but after a while, I felt bad about it. Jerry Prater deserved to get punched, but he had a scar on his face. That was my last fight, Theo. I stood up to a bully, but I used a weapon. I should have used my fists and nothing else. I still feel bad about it. What happened to Jerry? He dropped out of school and later went to prison. He never had much of a chance. Anyway, you did the right thing, so don't spend too much time worrying about it. I don't want my mom to yell at me. She won't. I know that woman very well, Theo. After he left, Theo fell asleep and Judge went to look for food. They met in the conference room during lunch. Theo sat at the end of the long, imposing table with a parent on each side. Before him was a chicken salad sandwich, which he had no desire to eat. His appetite was gone. His mother was not smiling, but she wasn't yelling either. It was obvious that she and Mr. Boone had had their little private meeting about their son and his suspension. So Miss Boone was over the shock. If this happened again, what would you do? What would you do differently, Theo? She asked calmly as he sipped an iced tea. Theo chewed on a piece of lettuce and considered the question, which he found interesting. Well, Mom, I'm not sure. I could do nothing to prevent a fight because it began so quickly, and I couldn't exactly break it up because Woody and Baxter are really going at it. When Griff jumped on Woody, I felt like I had no choice. Woody was fighting for me. The least I could do was help him. So you wouldn't do anything different? I guess not. Does that mean you've learned nothing from this whole episode? I've learned that I don't like fighting. Getting punched in the face and kicked in the head was not that pleasant. There are a few guys who like to fight, but not me. I'd say that's a valuable lesson learned, Mr. Boone claimed as he took a bite of a sandwich. It appeared as though Miss Boone was about to begin a lecture when Elsa tapped on the door. She opened it and said, "Sorry to bother, but the police are here." "Why?" Mr. Boone asked. Theo wanted to crawl under the table. They wanted to talk to Theo and his parents, of course. Detectives Hamilton and Vermont were back. With lunch interrupted, they settled into 2 seats on one side of the table and placed a large white envelope in front of them. The Boones readjusted themselves on the other side. "Sorry to disturb lunch," Hamilton said. "We stopped by to chat with the two of you and were told that Theo is here. A suspension?" "That's correct," Miss Boone said sharply. She was obviously irritated. "Suspension for what?" "I'll be happy to answer that if you can convince me it's any of your business." It was none of their business, and Hamilton's face blushed as his partner gave him a look of frustration. "Go get him, Mom," Theo said to himself. With a lawyer on each side, he felt well protected. However, he was nervous and sitting on his hands to keep them from shaking. "I'm sure there's a good reason for this visit," Mr. Boone said. Foreman leaned forward and said, "Yes, well, we wanted to talk to Theo about the baseball cap that was stolen from his locker on Monday. Would you describe it for us, Theo?" Theo looked up at his mother, then at his father. Both nodded. "Go ahead, answer the question." He said, "It's navy blue with a red bill, adjustable strap, with the Twins logo in the middle of the front." "Any idea who made the cap?" Foreman asked. "Nike." "Any identifying marks on the cap?" "My initials, TB, on the underside of the bill." "What did you use to write your initials?" "A black magic marker." Foreman slowly opened the envelope, removed the cap, and slid it across the table to Theo. "Is this your cap?" Theo held it, gave a quick inspection, and said, "Yes, sir." "Where did you find it?" Miss Boone asked. "At the computer store, Big Max. The cleaning crew comes in every Wednesday night after hours. Last night they were doing the floors when one of them swept under a counter and found this. The thief broke in around 9 p.m. Tuesday night, and somehow the mad scramble to steal what he wanted and make a quick getaway, he lost his cap." Theo stared at the cap and wanted to cry. His favorite cap was now being used as evidence against him. It did not seem fair. The proof was piling up. For some weird reason, he could hear Baxter's obnoxious voice, "Jailbird, jailbird." For a moment, his parents seemed unable to speak. Theo wasn't about to make a sound. The detectives stared at them with looks of grim satisfaction, as if to say, "You're nailed. Let's see you worm your way out of it this time." Finally, Miss Boone cleared her throat and said, "Looks as though the thief is very clever. He planned his crime carefully with the intention of framing Theo. On Monday, he stole the cap, then left it at a scene of the crime, and on Wednesday, he returned to the locker with the stolen goods." "That's one theory," Vorman said, "and you might be right. But we're also working with another theory, one that has Theo wearing the cap Tuesday night, maybe to help disguise his face when he entered the store around 9. And we know he was in the vicinity around that time. He even admits this, and in his rush to grab the tablets and laptops and cell phones, he lost his cap, and here it is. And of course, we found some of the stolen loot in his locker on Wednesday." "It's kind of hard to ignore Theo as a suspect," Hamilton added. "Very hard," Warman agreed. "In fact, with most investigations, we don't have this much evidence against a suspect." It was Hamilton's turn. "We find it odd that you didn't report the first break-in on Monday. Locker theft is rare at school, yet you didn't report it, and you have given us no good reason for this failure." Foreman. It could be that there was no break-in on Monday. When you got caught with the stolen tablets on Wednesday, you said someone broke in and left them in your locker. To make this sound believable, you added a little twist that someone had robbed your locker 2 days before. Hamilton. But there is no record of that, no proof. Foreman. And this mysterious thief was unseen by anyone at the school. Kind of hard to believe with 88th graders and dozens of teachers, plus janitors and assistants. Busy hallways and such, hard to believe. Hamilton. Pretty incredible story, if you ask me. This tag team was making Theo sick. He closed his eyes, gritted his teeth, and told himself not to cry. You don't believe me, my son? Miss Boone asked. To Theo, it was obvious they did not. Let's just say that we're still investigating, Foreman replied. Did you check the cat for fingerprints? Mr. Boone asked. We did. It's difficult to get good prints from cloth, so we were unsuccessful. Our lab guys are pretty sure that there are no prints. Looks like the thief wore gloves and was very careful. No prints on the tablets, none on the cap, none on the crime scene. Do you plan to charge Theo? Miss Boone asked. We haven't made a decision yet, Hamilton said, but it's safe to say we're headed that way. The Boones absorbed this and said nothing. Mr. Boone exhaled and looked at the ceiling. Miss Boone scribbled something on a notepad. Theo was still fighting back tears. He knew he was innocent and telling the truth, but the police did not believe him. He wondered if his parents did. Foreman broke the silence with still more bad news. We'd like to search your house, he said. Mr. and Miss Boone reacted in disbelief. For what? Mr. Boone demanded. For evidence, Foreman replied. For the rest of the stolen goods. You can't treat us like common criminals, Miss Boone said angrily. This is outrageous. We will not consent to a search, Mr. Boone said. We don't need your consent, Foreman said with a nasty smile. We have a search warrant. He grabbed some folded papers from his coat pocket and slid them across the table. Miss Boone adjusted her reading glasses and read the 2-page document. Once he finished, she handed it to her husband. Theo wiped a tear with the back of his hand. That's the end of chapter 13.